TVS Axor in Sholavaram, we have clocked 115 kilometers on the straight line.
Okay.
Yes, that was the
Okay.
fastest on the moped we have clocked.
In April 2019, xBhp embarked on a 4,000 kilometers journey on two TVS Apache RR310s, powered by Castrol Power One and Apollo Tyres, with the support of TVS Racing. The ride started from Buddh International Circuit and ended at Sholavaram Air Strip near Chennai. In between, we also visited the Kari Motor Speedway in Coimbatore and also MMRT Race Track in Chennai. During the ride, we also spoke to a lot of people from the racing fraternity. The idea behind this ride was to find the roots of the Indian motorsports and also what lies in the future for it.
After riding over two Apache RR310s all the way from Buddh International Circuit to MMRT in Chennai via Kari Motor Speedway in Coimbatore, we finally reached Sholavaram Air Strip near Chennai, which can be called the birthplace of Indian motorsports. And to talk to us, here we had a man who is a living legend of Indian motorcycle racing, Mr. G. Subhash Chandra Bose.
I started riding motorcycle when I was in 6th standard in the school itself. So when we used to go to the beach those days, we used to see a lot of racing motorcycles being tested there. That time we were very young, and then we used to watch them going up and down. Then I used to go all over Chennai, and you can see in every workshop in Chennai there used to be one motorcycle prepared for racing. So much of enthusiasm was there those days in the 60s. So I wanted to go and see the races. So then my parents asked one of my father's friend. He said, I will take him to the race because I was too young. So he said he will take me to the racetrack. So in 1967 was the first time I went to the Sholavaram Race Track to watch the races. And that is the time I was learning about the motorcycle mechanism also. So my father said, if you are interested in racing, I will put you on to a very big authorized service point, Lambretta scooter service point, which was my father's friend. So I went and joined them, and to learn about the scooter, they were preparing two racing scooters. One Mr. Pratap was racing thoroughbred racing scooter, where they had imported all the components from Italy. Anxel kit. It's called Anxel kit. That is the kit they were importing it from Italy. So we had a Lambretta scooter that days, 1960 model scooter we had, MSX 9786. I still remember the number. So my father said, if you want to race, you can take the scooter. So the person who was preparing the scooters there in Scooter Needs, he said, boss, come, I will prepare the scooter for you for racing. So, and in 1968, when races happened, I went and took my scooter to Sholavaram and started learning how to ride in the track. First year, it was very scary for me because the whole body is removed. You can see the front tire rotating. There's nothing in the vehicle. Vehicle was so light. So I went round slowly. I finished somewhere around the fifth and sixth or something. I don't remember what I finished. Then next year again, I entered the scooter itself. Next year, a little bit better prepared the scooter to compete. So next year also I rode the scooter, and I was a little bit comfortable the second year. And the third year also I rode a scooter where I came fourth. Then I said, scooter is very small and it is going very slowly. Why don't I change to a motorcycle? Then I asked my father, I want a Java. Immediately, my father bought me a Java in 1970, and then I raced the Java for 2 years, 1970, 71, and 72. I was coming second in the Java. So I said, okay, Java is also too small for me. I thought, okay, it is not going faster. So let me go to the higher class. That is the time I switched on to Royal Enfield Bullets in 1973. 1973, I started racing the Bullets, and there was never ending till I retired. I raced only on the Bullets. But when the new motorcycles came, the RX100 when it came, I raced the RX100 also. I came first in the RX100. Then when the RD350 came, I raced in the RD350 also. The first race when I raced, I won the RD350 also. Then I raced the TZ. Then I raced the mopeds. So right from 50cc Up to 350cc, I've raced in all the classes. And I won all the classes in all the races. And it was not only in Chennai, we used to have races all over India. We used to finish Chennai race, then we used to go to Bangalore, we used to go to hill climb, then we had Agaram Race Track, we had Kolar Race Track in Bangalore, then we had Sulu Race Track in Coimbatore, then we used to go to Bombay, Juhu racetrack in Bombay. Then after that, we used to go to Delhi, Safdarjung Airport racetrack in Delhi. Then we used to go to Barakpur, Calcutta races. So this was a continuous process. So all India, we have raced everywhere during the 70s and the 80s. Then later on only, all these racetracks were all Second World War abandoned race strips, airstrips. They were all built in during the Second World War. So later on, during Pakistan War or China War, they had to use those tracks. So the Air Force took over the tracks and we were not able to get the Safdarjung and Barakpur. Barakpur were very close to Bangladesh. They had aircraft parked underneath the airstrip itself. So during that emergency period, we were not able to get those tracks. So we were left with only Sholavaram. So we used to race in Sholavaram for a very long time till 1998, 1999, 89. 1990, we shifted to Sri Perambuttur. Up to 89 February, we were racing in Sholavaram.
Sir, so you said you used to race on TVS XL as well, moped. So what was the top speed that you did on the TVS XL?
TVS XL in Sholavaram, we have clocked 115 kilometers on the straight line.
Okay.
Yes, that was the fastest on the moped we have clocked. Then even in Bombay, to be very exciting, Bombay races, there were no time. So the first race was the scooters, the RX100 and the Insuzuki and the moped. These races were concurrent. So the mopeds were kept at the last. Then the scooters, then the Insuzuki, then the Yamahas. So this was the lineup on the racetrack. So after the race, I finished first, beating all the Yamahas and the Insuzukis and the scooters. So everybody became excited. How that the moped has won the overall race. They stripped the whole moped and they checked everything. They couldn't find anything. In fact, in car and bike, you can see the bike which is stripped and Ajil Jarganwala had written, this is the fastest moped we've ever seen. And everybody in Bombay were excited to see my moped in Bombay.
What was the atmosphere during that time in Sholavaram and in and around Chennai?
Well, every year during January and February, everybody right from the rickshaw puller to the managing director of the company, the fever used to be there that the festival of speed is going to come. And everybody used to be very excited and the club used to put a sticker on all the cars, Sholavaram Race is going to happen. So everybody in Chennai knew that there is going to be racing in Sholavaram. So the festival of speed, everybody used to be very excited to come to the racetrack. And the government of Tamil Nadu made sure that these races are conducted without any problem. So they used to organize their own buses. The state transport bus used to come from every depot, from each and every nook and corner of the Chennai, 10 buses from each depot. So you can see the state transport buses coming to Chennai because those times there was no much transport. So people used to come in these buses and you can see at least minimum 50,000 people on the track during February and people used to come by auto rickshaw, people used to come by their own vehicle, by cycle, by buses. From Chennai to Sholavaram, it used to be a traffic jam. This 40 kilometers used to be a traffic jam. And more, after the race is over, everybody is coming back to Chennai. So if you leave the track by 5 o'clock, you can come only by 9 o'clock back to Chennai. That was the traffic because everybody is coming back. So that was used to be the atmosphere in Chennai. And People from all over India means right from Bangalore, Coimbatore, Hyderabad, Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, and from Kerala, people used to come. All the clubs used to participate. All the clubs used to participate along with their teams. Their cars used to be there and motorcycles used to be there. And everybody was so excited during this. And all the clubs made sure that the big teams come from Pune. Everybody used to come. Pune Automotive Racing Club, the Para. They used to bring one of the best bikes those days from Pune. So this was the atmosphere during the 70s. And you can see minimum entries, 30 motorcycles. Minimum 30 motorcycles used to be in each grid, each class. If you take a moped class, Swega, TVS moped, Luna, minimum 30 mopeds will be there. Similarly, if you take a scooter race, Lambretta scooters, Vijay scooters, and the Vespa scooters, minimum 30 motorcycles. Rajdut, Java, Bullet, all these bikes, minimum 30 bikes used to be.
How was the support of manufacturers and the sponsors at that time, during your time?
I should be very grateful to tell you that during our races, as I told you, when the excitement is there in January and February, right from the rickshaw puller to the managing director of all the companies in and around Chennai used to be there. So all the ancillary units who are suppliers of spare parts to the manufacturers, that is Idle Java, Rajdut and Royal Enfield motorcycles, these vendors used to come and help us. Those days we could not import any component because it was very strict and it was out of our reach to get any imported components, or there were not any imported component available for these vehicles, because these vehicles are all road vehicles. Road vehicles have been converted to racing motorcycles. So the knowledge of the tuner is more important here to convert the road vehicle to a racing motorcycle and make the vehicle reliable to run in the race. So the manufacturers used to support us. If you take the shock absorbers, Armstrong shock absorber, they used to make special shock absorbers for us. The tire companies used to give tires for us. The battery company, xBhp people used to give battery. Lucas people used to give good points and electrical things. India Pistons used to give us special pistons. Engine valves used to give us special valves. Sodium filled valves. Sodium filled valve was one of the special valves made for the exhaust. So, and lot of other components were given free of cost, not even charged. They used to give free of cost. After the race was won, they used to take us to their company and take us photographs and put ads in their magazines and things like that. That is the interest they had those days. People had passion. The older days, people who were involved in racing, they had passion. And they used to support us like nobody. It has become very commercial now. Those days it was a real sport. It has now become very commercial now.
Okay.
Unless you have money. This is one of the costliest sport in the world. Yes. Only rich men can participate. One thing I want to tell you is, where there is a talent, there is no money. Where there is money, there is no talent. So people have a lot of money, that boy won't have any talent at all. But there will be a person who's got a lot of talent, but he won't have any sponsor. That is the scene in racing. So unless you have sponsors supporting them, this sport will not grow.
So, sir, were there riders from foreign countries as well here at Sholavaram?
Of course, there were foreign riders all over the world. People from Sri Lanka used to bring one of the best motorcycles, TZ and Northern Mines and things like that. People from UK used to bring one of the best Yamahas from UK. People from Germany used to come. Bodo Schmidt is one of the best engineers who has designed, who has done PhD in exhaust system. He had come and raced here. And people from Tokyo, Japan, Sado Asami had come and raced here. And people from Malaysia, people from Singapore, all over the world, people had come here, and we used to have an imported class itself for imported bikes. And that was a very good platform for our Indians also to take part with the foreign riders. And Sharif Dayan was the first person to take part with the foreign riders on his Honda. Then after that, the Aspi Batina took part in the foreign class. I also took part in the foreign class. So there were a lot of other riders who had a good chance to ride along with the foreign riders and learn better techniques of racing.
And sir, who all were the manufacturers who used to participate in the races that time?
Yeah. Now, if you take those days, the manufacturers participant was very, very important. So the first team was the Swega mopeds, one of the pioneer mopeds in India. Their full race team used to come from Tirupati. That the Swega was made in Tirupati. Then Idle Java, the full team from Mysore, Idle Java team used to come. Then Escorts team from Faridabad. Then Royal Enfield team from Chennai. And sometimes Luna had also come. Then later on, TVS team participated in these races. So you can see a lot of manufacturers participating, and they used to pick up the best riders and give their motorcycles. They prepared their own motorcycles and give it to them. And lot of private entries also was there, like Manx Motors, that is owned by Prithvi Babaja. Somandar Singh used to ride on his own. So a lot of other people like that, no? And Raja Raju, Team Tank Tex is one of the best teams India has produced. Raja Raju, they're twin brothers, and it used to be sponsored by TT Raghu, Team Tank Tex. It's one of the best teams during the 80s.
So, out of all these wins that you've had, which is your most favorite win?
I will not be able to tell which is the memorable thing, because every year it was exciting only. And when I win all the races, that is in maybe in 1987 or 88, I don't remember, right from moped to up to the 350 class, I won all the races that year. So that was the most excitement race for me, because I won in all the classes. When the two-stroke came, people said Bose's era is over. He always rides a four-stroke. So I proved it to them that I can even win on a two-stroke, and I won in the 100cc and in the 350, both are two-stroke. Second thing I'll tell you, the races which happened, Bullet used to have brakes on the left, gear on the right. Immediately after the Bullet race, I used to race the Java or the RX 100 or 3. So there the brakes are on the right and the gears on the left. Just imagine, I have to think all these things where the brake is, because both are ulta. Royal Enfield bike, brakes on the left, the RD350 brakes on the right, Yamaha brakes on the right. So you have to be so cautious and focus fully to make sure that you don't make a mistake. We have all raced on standard tires which is available in the market. There was no fancy tires. We never had disc brakes. We never had any fancy safety equipment. I used to only ride with an open helmet with a cooling glass, with ordinary shoes, jeans jacket. We never had anything. We never had racing suits, racing boots. There's no racing gloves. There's no pakka full face helmet. Nothing we had. And after the race, there wouldn't have been even a single accident or any fall also. At the same time, after 50 laps, it used to be a test for man and machine. We used to drink only ordinary water which is available in Red Hills. No mineral water, no energy drink, nothing was available. Even the foreigners used to drink only ordinary water only. So that is the kind of energy we had those days when we were racing.
So why do we not have that racing culture here, or why do we not see our riders performing well at international stages?
See, the only drawback now in India is every parent wants their children to go and get educated properly. So the education, by the time he finishes 12th standard, it is already 15 years. So then he wants the child to go to the college. So the Indian parents, they will not allow, because there is no potential in motorsport. It's not, you can't take it as a professional in India. But abroad, you can take it as a professional. And people right from 10 years onwards, they start encouraging, the parents start encouraging. You get thoroughbred racing motorcycles. Right from even a 10-year-old boy can race a pakka racing bike at that small level. And they teach them so nicely. And for the cars, they have the go-karts. For the motorcycle, they have these motorcycles. For autocross, they have the small autocross bikes. So they get used to the sport very easily, and there's a lot of money involved in motorsport because this is one of the richest sport in the world. So if you win one race abroad, you get so much of dollars. But in India, if you win a 50 lap race, you know what is the prize money? 1,500 rupees is the prize money. What you have spent more than 5,000 rupees. I'm talking about the 70s and 80s. We have already spent about 3,000, 4,000 rupees on the bike, and you know what? In return, you get 1,500 rupees as a prize money. So the money involved here is not much. So people don't encourage. You don't get sponsors who come forward to help you in lakhs, because the sport is you need. Suppose you want to import a racing motorcycle, it will cost you nothing less than few lakhs. So who's going to pay the money? Sponsors will not pay the money. He is not going to get any publicity by sponsoring you, getting on motorcycle, and this boy going and racing abroad. So it is very difficult in India. Otherwise, you have to start racing from right from the young age. Parents you have to support, or you have to get good sponsors to go and race abroad.
Okay. Advice you have for budding racers or upcoming racers?
The upcoming races, I'll tell you one thing. Those days, we used to take the advice of our elders. The first generation people who have raced, if they give us some advice, we were listening to them. But now today, the younger generation don't listen to us. They have their own ideas. Even if you go and tell them you do this, they say no, we know, because all the messages available in the internet and here Facebook and things like that. People, when they see the internet and see Marcus, everyone wants to become Marcus. Everyone wants to become Rossi by the way they are riding. So they don't want to listen to us at all. So I don't have any advice for them because they're not going to listen to us. Only thing is, I will ask them to be very safe. There are a lot of racing schools available now in Chennai and in Kari Race Track. People are teaching the younger generation how to ride a motorcycle properly, how to sit down. The body language is very, very important. How to go into the corner, how to brake, how to go into the apex of the corner. So all these things, there are a lot of racing schools available. So I would advise them to, before even entering the races, let them go there, let them learn the technique of racing, and ask them to wear the correct gearing, the overalls, the boots, the gloves, the helmet. So I would like all the riders to go get more discipline on the racetrack in the riding school, and then ride slowly. Always use a good helmet. Do not buy a helmet for 100 rupees from the roadside. Invest on the helmet, because your head is more important than your life is more important than anything else. So I would request the parents to, when they buy a motorcycle to their children, make sure that they buy a good helmet and give them. That is the advice I would like to tell them.
Tracing the Roots was a great learning experience for all of us at xBhp, where we could not only get to ride on the famous racetracks of India, but also got to know this noble sport from inside and from the people who know motorcycle racing in India inside out. We are thankful to each and every motorcyclist who was a part of this ride. And a big thanks to all our sponsors as well, including TVS Racing, Castrol Power One and Apollo Tyres.